Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Musings with Mayuri. So I've come up with this video where I'll be showing you how to go about with the daily newspaper. See, current affairs forms a very important portion of the UPSC syllabus, but we also need to know how to utilize the current affairs and link it with the static portion of our preliminary and mains syllabus. So in this video, I'll just be showing you that. And yes, all the snippets in this video have been taken from the Indian Express newspaper dated 17th of October 2024. I want you people to note one thing, that this is not the daily holistic newspaper coverage video, but instead I'm just here to show you the strategy so that your newspaper reading becomes easy every single day. Yes, let's begin. We are on the first slide. The snippet reads, strategic link to northern outpost among 5 Ladakh stretches cleared. Wildlife board gives go ahead to defense ministry plan. So what we need to understand here is that we have been seeing how China has been aggressively, pursuing its territorial expansion policies. It has been ramping up infrastructure on its side of India-China borders. Uh, this is one aspect, and the other aspect is we always seek for national security. So, protection of borders is a very important aspect. So, in that context, you have to just use this news that yes, we have tensions with our borders, and in that context, we have been making efforts to augment infrastructure in border areas. And I've just attached a map at the left. So just look at a few locations like Karakoram Pass, Daulat Begoldi. I want you to look at the locations. You remember their sequence from north to south. This is just an example. Daily you will come across so many images in the newspaper. So you need to use the images likewise. That is, you need to remember the sequence from north to south, or maybe east to west, etc., etc. Right? So that is the only utility of this piece of information. You can add it in internal security, or yes, you can add it in internal security and all. Next, moving on to the second slide, we have India-Pakistan open window, cricket on table, ministers old talks. So when you look at the news, this news particular, what is important here is we need to understand all the facets of India-Pakistan relations. That is cooperation. What do I mean by cooperation? Here the first word, that is if we have any treaty of friendship, or what kind of partnership we are sharing. We have like different kinds of partnerships, right? Strategic partnership, comprehensive strategic partnership, etc., etc. So you need to specifically look into that. Then second, coming to geo-economic, here you need to understand what is the bilateral trade between the two countries, and investments if we have made any in Pakistan, or we extend lines of credit and other grants, etc. So you need to explore those dimensions. Geopolitical, geostrategic is basically the defense and security aspects that you need to explore, like if you are conducting any bilateral exercises with Pakistan, etc. People to people contact, so here you can even add the cultural elements, the educational elements if we are offering any scholarships. Then next is the capacity development, that is if you are making any efforts to enhance skills of people of Pakistan, like the same, like people to people capacity development, education, healthcare, they all fall under the same bracket. So you need to explore dimensions from that perspective. Then coming to environment, so we have been seeing that recently there has been a lot of focus on environment, right? We are moving towards green energy, renewable energy, sustainable development, etc. So you need to explore this facet if there is anything specific between India and Pakistan. They're working together on any aspect of green development, so you need to see that. Then energy, like for example with India and Bhutan, we have like we import hydroelectricity from Bhutan, right? So that way you need to explore this dimension if there are any. And science and technology, for example, we have space cooperations with so many countries, so likewise. Then you need to see the challenges in relations. There are several challenges. One is the Jammu and Kashmir issue and the issue of terrorism, the Indus Water Treaty issue, etc., etc. So here you also need to, study some other dimensions as well. For example, like, see, Indus Water Treaty in itself is a whole topic. Like, what is Indus Water Treaty? The provisions of the treaty, etc. India has rights over which rivers? And then recently we have been seeing that India has been demanding for modifying and reviewing this treaty. So you need to also explore that dimension. Is reviewing the treaty feasible or not? What could be the challenges in this dimension? What could be the challenges in this direction and the way forward? So, and then talking about terrorism, how India has been like vocal about, Pakistan's attempts of terrorism, right? So you need to explore that dimension a little bit, but the Indus Water Treaty can itself be one entire topic which could be asked separately. Okay, then the last part is way forward, and here you need to use this headlines: cricket on table, that is cricket diplomacy. India and Pakistan can deepen their engagement by exploring avenues of cricket diplomacy. That is how you need to make use of the news. Next, from the same article itself, I got a few snippets. So I've highlighted the important points and attached over here. So I'll read the first one. Like, cooperation must be based on mutual respect and sovereign equality. It should recognize territorial integrity and sovereignty. It must be built on genuine partnerships, not unilateral agendas. It cannot progress if we cherry pick global practices, especially of trade and transit. This was said by our Honorable External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankarji. So you can cut short the statement and use it wherever you feel right while writing answers on India, Pakistan, India, China, etc. Because this was said in the context of both the countries, and specifically because of China-Pakistan economic corridor, which passes through Pakistan occupied Kashmir, right? So India has raised concerns before as well. And if you look into PYQs asked in GS2, there have been, I think, two questions which are specifically asked about China-Pakistan economic corridor. I don't remember in GS2 or GS3, I'm not sure, but questions have been asked. So that is how you need to keep a track. You need to constantly keep looking at the PYQs that have been asked in mains, so that you will be better able to extract the newspaper articles. Next, moving on to the third. See, why I've attached this thing. This was an image which was given like regarding air pollution in Delhi. Right, so how do we use it? See, air pollution image is shown, so we'll cover all the dimensions of air pollution. And one important thing, like frequently, like I think in yesterday's newspaper, one image was shown where anti-smog guns were used to clear the pollution, right? So that one can be used as like use of anti-smog guns as a solution, as a technological solution to solve the problem of air pollution. So that is how you can use it. And I some things to be noted for prelims are: you need to know air quality index, GRAP, graded response action plan, NAAQS, National Ambient Air Quality Standards, and CAQM Act of 2021, and CPCB. Make separate notes of these important terms and keep revising them multiple times. They seem very confusing. So that is why I have given them on a page so that you can make notes. Right, just collect like 3 to 4 points, important points related to this, and try to understand that. Moving on. Next, keeping the 29-year-old pachyderm occupied and stress free. See, the entire article was not important, but what I felt here was important is the term pachyderm, right? So what is pachyderm? It's a very large mammal with thick skin. For example, like elephant, rhinoceros, hippopotamus. Why I have given this is maybe in prelims they may ask you a question like, I think 2 or 3 years ago there was a question on elephant, right? So they can frame such questions in the future, and they can use this word pachyderm. So you should not be confused. What is pachyderm, right? So that is why I've given it here. Next, Cabinet approves conferring status of classical language to Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese and Bengali languages. So here you need to understand what are the classical languages, who notifies them, and how many classical languages are there. That's all. It's just a straightforward prelims question, right? So they may give you, like they may ask you a question saying that recently, recently, let's say Gujarati has been conferred the status of classical language. So that statement will become wrong. Recently, we have like 5 languages: Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese, and Bengali languages that have been conferred the status. So please remember these small facts. They'll come in handy during prelims. Okay. Next, this was just an advertisement kind of snippet in the newspaper, but I've picked it up because I found some good terms here which will help in our preparation of ancient history, especially the topics of Buddhism. So first term that I extracted here was Tushita. What does this mean? It's the place of joy. It represents the pure land of the coming Buddha, that is Maitreya. You remember one question was asked previously, who is the future Buddha? Future Buddha is Maitreya. So yes, this is the first term. The second term, Sankasya, Sankissa, Sankassa. So all the 3 terms, what does is one and the same. What does it mean? It refers to one of the 8 great places of Buddhist pilgrimage, right? The third, Dhamma Sangani. It is the first book of Abhidhamma Pitaka, right? Then Abhidhamma Divas. It it represents the descent of Lord Buddha from celestial realm after teaching Abhidhamma. So please remember these terms and make a note of that. Next, center hikes MSP for Rabi crops for 25-26. Wheat sees 6% rise. So I've just picked it up because you need to know what is MSP. What is the criteria for calculating MSP? MSP is given on how many crops, how many specifically Kharif crops and the Rabi crops. From the crops, you need to be able to identify the Kharif and the Rabi crops. Yes, so that is how you're going to, do it. I have not covered the news holistically here. I'm just giving you an idea. You have to go back and do this exercise of collecting information. Then, yes, one snippet I found where, yes, about Uniform Civil Code. It was on Uniform Civil Code. So here you need to know what is UCC, arguments in favor and against, and way forward. And you also need to know 2 terms. See, Honorable Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi ji had advocated reframing it as secular civil code. But former Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has another suggestion. He feels the term common civil code would be more inclusive. So you may use these terms in the conclusion or wherever it fits in, right? That is why I have added the snippets. I exactly cannot tell you where to use it. I can only tell you, okay, you may use it in the conclusion, but you can figure out many ways where you want to use it and how you want to use it. Then talking about the next article, Israeli envoy in Ayodhya. So Israeli ambassador to India had visited the Ram temple in Ayodhya. How do you use this article? Explore all the facets of India-Israel relations for mains and make notes out of it. And what all dimension needs to be covered has been discussed in one of the previous articles. Yes, when I spoke about India-Pakistan, I gave you certain heads like cooperation, geoeconomics, geopolitical, etc. etc. So in the same way, you need to explore India-Israel relations and make proper notes out of it. And also remember, when you're making notes, make sure to add the introduction and the conclusion itself along with other dimensions. Yes, next article, just very factual. Europa Clipper mission may or may not find signs of life but it will fire a million imaginations. Just need to know what is Europa Clipper. It is NASA's mission to Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, and Europa is Jupiter's fourth largest moon, right? So it's just a very factual information. Moving on to the next article. Yes, so there was this snippet which read, what's in it for Albania? By helping out Italy, Albania is securing its support as it pushes to become an EU member. It is also showing the rest of Europe that is willing to help the 27 nation bloc deal with one of its most intractable problems of recent years. Yes, Italy has been facing these migration problems and it's trying to deport the migrants to Albania, right? And this is not just done by Italy, but many countries have been doing it. Like UK also had recently deported the migrants to Rwanda, right? So what we need to understand, first, what is European Union? We need to understand all the facts for prelims. You also need to explore what are the meanings of the term Eurozone and Schengen area. Next, these countries, I mean the Western countries, some of the Western countries, they have been facing certain internal pressures and crises. So they have been adopting anti-liberal policies. Once upon a time, they were the major champions of the idea of liberalism. But today, these countries themselves are turning anti-liberal, right? So you can, whenever you want to highlight this fact or you want to show this, you can quote these examples over there. And yes, how West is backtracking from its liberal agenda, the same thing which I told. Here I've added the locations of places Italy, Albania on the map. They are close to the Adriatic Sea, so please have a look at it. So this is also how you use the places. Actually, you came across two places, just check for them on the map and try to memorize their locations. It'll come in handy during prelims. Yes, and then there was one article on India and ASEAN, uh, majorly revolving around trade. So India faces tariff asymmetry in ASEAN agreement, says official. So you need to know what is meant by tariff asymmetry. See, when two countries are trading, so both countries are not levying equal tariff on each other. One country is imposing more tariffs on the other in comparison to the other country, right? So that is tariff asymmetry. And you also need to know what is like ASEAN from prelims perspective, like how many countries form the ASEAN, right? And you also need to explore all the dimensions of India and ASEAN from mains perspective, right? And then I've added a few snippets so you can collect some information that you feel necessary. Mostly it is factual information, and add it to your notes under India and ASEAN. India-ASEAN relations. Yes. So the dimensions of India-ASEAN relations that need to be covered are background of the relations, the significance of the relations, the challenges, and way forward, right? And next, yes, the same article was also talking about RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So India has withdrawn from this partnership. So you need to quickly go to the internet, open any website, for example, Drishti IAS or Insights IAS. That is how I used to study. If I needed to learn something, I used to type like RCEP, UPSC with the keyword UPSC. So you will get some websites. I mostly prefer Drishti website or Insights IAS website, and I used to quickly read these things over there. So you can do the same. Quickly read about it, why India has opted out and all of that. Like, no need to read it in detail. Just have a glance and try to understand this facet, right? Okay. Next round of India-UK free trade agreement talks expected to be in November. So what is important here is read about India-UK relations in detail and make main specific notes. The dimensions same that you'll have done for India-Pakistan and India-Israel. Same. All the dimensions you need to collect 2233 information, right? Okay, next. India is likely to see a rise in demand for all forms of energy through 2035, the International Energy Agency said in its World Energy Outlook 2024. So add it in environment, climate change, etc., etc. So wherever you want, you add this information. It's a very factual information I've just collected. She visits frontline island day after large-scale drills to warn Taiwan. So what becomes important here is read about China-Taiwan issue, one China policy, and India-Taiwan relations, and India's stand on Taiwan. Like India supports one China policy. So have a look at it on the internet. Like you can same, type India Taiwan or India stand on one China policy. You see some good websites. Sometimes you may not get this information on websites of Drishti IAS or Insights IAS. So there are good articles written on ORF or many websites. I mostly used to read ORF only when it was absolutely necessary and only during mains. I never read ORF before prelims. It's only after clearing prelims, and since my optional was PSIR, I was reading that. You may just read it to understand. I'm not expecting you to read it in and out and collect information. That is not necessary if your optional is not PSIR, but just have a look at it. So even when an unexpected question comes in mains, you'll be able to handle such questions if you have proper insights into the bilateral relations and all. That is the only point here. And the last article, yes, this is the last article, so I found it very interesting. Recently, Korean peninsula heating up again, history of hostility between north and south, trigger for current tensions. So recently there was again this issue on the Korean border. So I want you to please go through this article because it wonderfully explains the background of North Korea and South Korea and how the disagreements started between both the countries. So it will be really helpful for you. So that is why I've attached here. So yeah, that's it for this video. This is how one has to do the current affairs. So I hope you make the most of this video. Thank you so much.